Do you ever think to yourself, man, I wish I had a better build? Well, friends, look no further as the Build Doctor is in. My job as the Build Doctor is to examine your loadouts and prescribe a fun, solid build for you to utilize in Destiny 2. The catch, however, is that I will be using what you have in your arsenal. This means that each build will be catered to the patient I am assessing. But don't let that stop you, the viewer, from trying out these same builds. Now, let's take a step into my office and have a look at today's case. Okay, so here we are in game. Big shout out today to Justin for submitting this build, and I'll go ahead and put the screenshots of Justin's loadout, but Justin is, or seems to be a relatively new character in Destiny 2, or relatively new to Titan at least. He's only got 4 exotic armor pieces, which is not that many, and then for his exotic weapons, we only have, 7, I think? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, 7 exotic weapons. So we don't have a lot to choose from, but Justin has asked us to amplify his build. And as we look here at these armor pieces, obviously we have Worm God's Caress, Armamentarium, Curse of the Falling Star, sorry, couldn't think of the name for a second, and the Dune Marchers. Now, in terms of these 4 armor pieces, the only 2 that I'm really seeing that are standing out to me as being really good exotics are Worm God's Caress and Armamentarium. And I know that sounds heretical to some people because they swear by Curse of the Falling Star, but again, this build is more for a new player. Like, this is not a build for a seasoned Destiny veteran. Okay, and Curse of the Falling Star, all it does is amplify your super. And yes, it is a great amplification to your super, but because it only amplifies your super, we're going to stay away from this one. Dune Marchers just aren't really all that strong inside of PvE, so that's why we're going to stay away from Dune Marchers as well. But it really led me to Armamentarium or Worm God's Caress. And of course, when I look over at his exotic weapons over here, I do see Monte Carlo in that first slot, which is where this build is taking me here. So, in terms of our class setup, I'm using Striker, and I've got Thunder Crash on. Now, the reason I have Thunder Crash on is just because it's big, instant DPS. It's a fantastic super. It's one and done kind of thing, so very easy for the average player to use. I've also got on Thruster here. Now, Thruster I've put on, and it'll make a little bit more sense in a second, but it's a really quick, evasive action, and you can use it to get close to enemies or to get away from enemies very, very quickly. In terms of our other abilities, though, I also have Thunderclap on and then Lightning Grenade, and that'll make a little bit more sense here in just a second. But for our aspects, I've got Touch of Thunder. That way we can carry 2 Lightning Grenades. I also have on Knockouts, and Knockout is a really, really big deal for the build that we're going for. Now, in terms of our fragments here, I've got Spark of Feedback, where taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage. Spark of Shock, so your arc grenades jolt targets. Spark of Ions, so defeating jolted targets creates an ionic trace. And Spark of Resistance, so that while surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming strength. Now, these 2, obviously, this is a melee-based build. So these 2 are very, very good. More melee damage is always great, and then more damage resistance also fantastic. For these 2, though, yes, I know that with Touch of Thunder, Lightning Grenade grants, not only does it grant an additional grenade charge, but also jolts targets hit by that initial blast. This is just an ease of use thing. If you wanted to, you could sub this out with some of the other options, such as where is it? You could do Spark of Magnitude, so your Lightning Grenade shock one more time. You could do a Spark of Recharge so that your grenade and melee cool down while you're injured, although I don't think that's necessarily the best for this build, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. But there are other options, but for the ease of use factor, I just put on Spark of Shock. Of course, Spark of Ions, this is pretty straightforward. You're going to be jolting targets with your grenade, you're going to be killing those targets. That's going to give you, give your class ability energy back. Now let's move on to our mods, which I have set up in this way. Again, this is a solid build for an early player and very straightforward. On our helmets, I put on 3 hands-on mods. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to put a little asterisk here. 3 hands-on mods, are not necessarily necessary. You can just do 2 or 1 if you want to throw some other mods in there, but more super energy is always great. Now, the one thing I will say is on the arms here, you'll see I have 3 heavy-handed mods. This is one, I think that this one, in my opinion, is not, it's inarguable. The reason why is because for each stack of heavy-handed that you have on, you get a little bit less of a cooldown for the amounts of time between making orbs of power on a powered melee kill. So with just one mod, it's 10 seconds. With without any mods, with just one mod, it's 10 seconds between orb spawn cooldown. With 2 mods, it's 5 seconds in between, and with 3 mods, it's 1 second. So with all 3 mods, we're going to be able to generate an orb of power every 1 second. So basically every kill, maybe every other kill. On the chest piece here, I have emergency reinforcement, and I've got 2 of them. This is just to save our butts, just in case our shield gets broken. We can get out of there or get a melee kill or something like that so that we can start our health regeneration. Onto the boots though, I have innervation so that we reduce our grenade cooldown each time we pick up an orb of power, and recuperation. This replenishes lost health each time you pick up an orb of power, and I have 2 of those. The reason why is because over here on knockouts, down at the bottom of the description here, it says defeating targets with melee attacks starts health regeneration and makes you amplified. The big thing there is it starts health regeneration. The thing you're going to be missing out on is that instant health, and that's where recuperation is going to come in really handy, because when you get a powered melee kill, which knockouts, while you have knockout active, all melee kills are considered power melee kills. That's a big deal, because heavy-handed only works on powered melee final blows. But with that being said, recuperation here will give you a big boost of health, and the knockout will of course start your health regeneration. Now I also have on powerful attraction, 2 of them actually. This is so that when we use our thruster ability, we will be able to suck up all the orbs in the area. And again, when you suck up the orbs in the area, it'll first of all grant you stacks of armor charge for your emergency reinforcement here, but it will also grant you health for recuperation. And if you have, if you need a grenade cooldown, innervation will also help. And then finally, I just threw a bomber mod on because why not? The thing I left blank here, you'll notice, is these, the stat increasing mods. Really on the helmet, you can do whatever you want. On the chest, legs, and class, you can do whatever you want. Just make sure you're focusing on resilience. You want your resilience to be as high as possible. Obviously, mine is a little bit overcommitted here. That 15 stat points doesn't do anything for me. But as you see, I haven't really spec'd out for anything else outside of resilience. This is something you're going to want to make sure that you do. Having high resilience is going to keep you alive for longer. But these mods I've added in here, you should be able to plug in any additional stat increasing mods on these 3/4 pieces of armor, with the exception of course, Wormgod's Caress. Also, you'll see I have all mine masterworked. You don't have to have all your armor pieces masterworked for this to work. So yeah, with that being said, let's go hop in a game and talk about what we're going to be doing. Okay, so we've loaded in here, and so we're going to go ahead and just start punching everything. And the reason we're punching here is so that we're building stacks of our Wormgod's Caress. As you can see, Burning Fist is at its max level now. We can use this to absolutely just obliterate everything in the room. And of course, we're generating a lot of orbs of power. As you see, we're already about 30% of the way to our super after that like 20 second, I was going to say 2 minute, but that like 20-second encounter. Okay, they're coming from this middle here. And remember, we want to try to be getting as many melee kills as possible. And that's where Thunderclap is really going to come in handy for us, because Thunderclap is a super, super strong melee. Like, once we get our Wormgod's Caress stacks up, so we can actually... Oh, never mind, we don't have it charged. We'll fix that real quick. Throw a grenade here. That'll create an ionic trace, help us get our energy back. And of course... getting that additional melee energy, as well as that grenade energy. Also, we do have Monte Carlo on. Monte Carlo will help us get our melee back faster as long as we are actively using it. So we'll make sure that we want to keep using Monte Carlo while we're just obliterating these ads. And as you can see, I mean, we're one-punching yellow bar enemies. Like, this is a very, very strong build. Knockout paired with, let's see, there's an orange bar gone. Knockout paired with Wormgod's Caress will absolutely decimate like everything. And as you see, notice my health here. My health is not really dropping off at all. Let's actually see how many... Oh, never mind. Let's just say how many shots it will take us to actually clean up a champion. There we go. That's how fast a champion can go down with this absolutely insane melee build. It's a very strong melee build. Now, of course, something to note about this build is that you're not, obviously you're not invincible. I mean, nobody's invincible in Destiny 2, so to speak. But something to keep in mind is that whenever you're playing, exploding units are going to be a risk to you, and especially in Onslaught here, the Onslaught really likes to give a bunch of exploding units. In fact, we'll just do this. We'll use our super so we can get an idea of how fast we can actually get it back here. Oops. Here we go. Go. Just gonna keep going, and notice the feed down there. It is lighting up with all of these orbs of power. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I totally forgot the name. But let's get this charged up here while we still have a little bit of juice. 107,000 damage is how much damage we just did to this brig. So again, very, very strong, very potent. Does take some warming up, Flare. Does take some build up to get there, but it's still very good, especially with the change that they made to Worm God's Caress here relatively recently. It's fantastic. Now, another thing I've been neglecting to do is actually use my grenade ability. So we're going to make it a point here to try to use our grenade ability a little bit more, just so that we're feeding ourselves those ionic traces. That way we get our stuff back quicker. But we'll just throw a grenade here. That'll make us ionic trace. It'll also help us get our stuff back, our melee and stuff back quicker. We can also start using our class abilities so that we're sucking up orbs of power in the vicinity. And we're just going to continuously melee out all these adds, and it will get to a point where we're able to kill like these higher health targets, you know, things like red bars. I'm sorry, not red bars. Obviously red bars are going down, but you know, orange bars. Some of these orange bars are going to go down really, really quickly, which is really nice. And especially, you know, in this kind of at level content, you know, we're not doing anything crazy. This is just a normal onslaught, but again, this is more designed to show off that this build is, I mean, it's to show off the potency of this build. Now, I don't expect that you're going to be playing like a whole lot in, you know, these mega high level activities, but this is just one build to show that, hey, there's some really, really high potential with this exotic. We just got Thunderclap back, but again, we kind of want to use Thunderclap when we have some stacks of, you know, Burning Fist, like maybe right here. Charge it up and absolutely decimate that little fella. Now we're probably just going to go to wave 10. We don't need to do a full run of this to showcase this build. Like I said, we just wanted to give you an idea of what potential this build does have. This really strong melee build has. Okay, so we have exploders now. So this is where our build is going to kind of fall off a little bit. Like we can't just go up here and melee all of these exploding shanks. So we're going to have to use Monte Carlo as well as, you know, anything else that we have, which I do have a shotgun equipped, and I'll talk about the shotgun here whenever I can use it in just a second. Or actually, no, I think I actually, no, I didn't. Sorry. I think I'm on crack or something right now, but I have a shotgun, and the shotgun specifically has a perk called 1-2 punch. And the reason why I have 1-2 punch on is so that I can shoot, say like a champion, a high health target, something like that, and get a big chunk of damage off on him. As we can see here, as we're getting our stacks here, it's going up. We'll be able to one shot. Let me see if I can find one of these yellow bars so we can really showcase how strong this is. Here's one right here. Move, shank, get in. Where's he at? Nope. Oops, I missed. Well, I think that kind of worked. I think got the idea there. But there we go. Just one punched a champion. We just one punched a champion. I want to make sure to iterate that pretty good there, because that's a very, very potent build if you can one punch a champion. But again, that's because of the shotgun perk as well that I'm using. And if you don't have a shotgun with 1-2 punch, that's completely fine. Like, this build will still work. It's not like it's gonna, you know, be broken or anything like that. But 1-2 punch on a shotgun will just increase your damage that much more, which is really strong to say the least. So we got all these enemies around us. Even though we have all these enemies around us, look at our health bar. Like, we are able to top off our health by getting melee kills. We're able to top off our health very easily because of knockout. Like, we have all these things working together to keep us alive. And this really is the Titan fantasy. Just punching everything. I'm right here in the fray. We've got the fragment, sorry. The fragment that allows us to you know, take less damage when we're surrounded. So it's all just working together. Now we're going into our first boss fight here. Hopefully we'll be able to showcase the boss damage with this build. but we'll have to see. Okay, so our teammates decided to mess around in the back, so that's going to give us an opportunity to run up here. And as much as I want to save my thunderclap, I do think that we're just going to go ahead and hammer this out. Let's go ahead and shoot the boss. We get some energy while Burning Fist is still active. Actually, we do need to get some kills here. Okay, there's knockout in action. I'm sorry, the double recuperation mods in action. Of course, which is super strong. Like the double recuperation mods plus knockout is giving us just massive health regeneration, and that's exactly kind of, you know, so that's what you want with any sort of melee build. Here, of course, you have to break an enemy shield or critically wound an enemy to activate. Let's see. Oops. I think that's still wrong to go. There we go. Started the health regeneration. We're going to get the punch there. We're going to get a punch here. I'm just going to keep punching literally everything. Like, we don't know what guns are anymore. Like, all we do is punch. Let's actually see if I can get... There we go. That was a big old chunk of damage that we just did to the boss there. And yeah, that's the power of this build. Again, it's nothing fancy, guys. It's nothing fancy. This is designed for somebody who's relatively new to the game that doesn't have much understanding of maybe how deep build crafting goes, I guess. But at the same time, like you know, the power level that we're feeling right here, it's there. You know, and I think that if you are a veteran player and you custom tune this up a little bit, I think that you could have a really strong in-game build that you could take into some really high level content. If y'all want to see that on the channel, just let me know. I can do a whole dedicated build to the power fantasy behind all of these things working together. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up today's video of today's episode of the Build Doctor. Again, Justin, thank you for your screenshots there. Thank you for letting us mess around with you know, building you a solid Titan build. But with that being said, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Do me a favor, drop a like. It helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content. And guys, do me a favor, watch the videos you see here on the end screen, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you will like them. I will see y'all in the next one. Bye for now.